Hi, my name is John Haroff with Authentic Leadership Solutions, and I just want to take a few minutes to walk you through the durable skills learning journey and what that means for you and your organization. Now, first of all, I want you to know that this is not a workshop. And what I mean by that is that workshops tend to be a one-time thing where people come in, they learn some great material, and then they move on, and oftentimes what they've learned is kind of left there because they're not given the opportunity to practice and to apply what they've learned. While this includes workshops, it's much more of a journey. So the participants will be involved in this journey and have time to apply what they've learned to their position at work and with their teams that they work with. So let me walk you through this journey. There's three phases. Phase one is a half-day session that's in person or virtual, however that works best for your organization. And here I teach students about durable skills, but more than that, they have a chance to discover them, to see why that's valuable to know this, to learn how to apply them to their life. And a lot of this session is to build anticipation, to build a desire to learn more about durable skills so that they see why this matters for them. And the reason for that is, as they learn this, they'll have chances to talk in small groups and to work individually and begin applying what they've learned. But I really want them to develop that desire to go deeper with this. And then that leads them into phase two. And phase two is a guided online course. And we can decide together if they have 3 weeks or a month and a half, whatever it is that you think is fair for them to work through this course. The reason for this is that gives them a chance to review the materials from the workshop, and studies show that the more we review those kinds of things that we've learned, the more they become ingrained in us. But also, there are journaling and reflection activities involved in this to help them apply what they've learned to their position in their life. And by having it spread out over a period of time, it gives it more chance to soak in and to become natural and second nature for them as they work through this time. Then when they're done with phase two, we set up a time for phase three where we get back together again, and that same group meets, and then they can reflect on what they've learned. They can share with their teammates. They can kind of celebrate what they've developed and the plan that they've come up with for their own growth, but also support each other. And this whole process then will build that camaraderie within the team. It will give them a chance to develop their skills further and give them a reason to really go deeper with this. All of this helps improve their quality of work. What I want to do is look at what these early career professionals are facing as they get into the workforce. When they are looking at their career, when they're looking at their path, they come up against this wall. And they don't know what these boulders are made of, why they're there. Either it's something where they're trying to get into a career that they really like, or they're in an organization and they want to move forward. And there's something that blocks them, and they don't know what that is. And if they don't know what it is, they don't know how to fix it and how to grow and develop skills to move past it. Now, you, as the HR department or as the supervisors, already know what's on these blocks. They just can't see it. What I do in this time in this journey is kind of lift up the curtain to show them what's there, the things that you already see. As you look at this group of individuals, you see a high turnover rate. You see poor teamwork, poor office habits, low return on investment, low team morale, miscommunication, lost productivity, increased training costs because you have to teach things over and over again. And one of the thoughts that we get when we look at this is it really fair to group a whole bunch of people just because of their age or experience into one group? Well, if you think about it, putting things into categories is kind of how we work as people. It's one of the first things we learn as kids. Let's say I gave you these blocks and I told you to group them. What would you do? You'd probably put them by color. You'd put all the orange ones together, all the yellow ones, all the blue ones. But what if I gave you these blocks? If you grouped them by color, you'd soon find out that they're not all the same shape. Or if you grouped them by shape, they wouldn't be the same color. Even the triangles, if you put them together, they'd be different sizes. So not everything in that group has exactly the same characteristics, but we do need to group things together for the sake of moving forward and working with that. And the early career professionals tend to have these same categories that we see in them, these same lacks of skill set that need to be developed. And that's where durable skills come in. So I want to talk about durable skills versus perishable skills. You may have heard it as soft skills versus hard skills. I kind of like this terminology a little bit better. As I've done my research, this seems to really fit. Durable skills are the transferable abilities and mindsets that remain valuable across roles, industries, and time. So things communication, critical thinking, adaptability, leadership, these are the things that when somebody develops this, it doesn't matter what position they're in, they can use these. And these will help them move to higher levels within your organization. It'll help them be more and more valuable to your organization. The perishable skills, on the other hand, are the technical and role-specific skills. They lose that relevance and value over time. Now, they're important for doing the job, but they're not as valuable, they're not as long-term as the durable skills. So we really want to work on durable skills. There's a study of 966 organizations that I looked at as I was doing some of my research. And one thing they found was 1 in 6 companies are hesitant to hire early career workers. 1 in 6. And you probably have felt this. Another thing they saw in here was those that took the survey said 75% report that some or all of those new hires were unsatisfactory. 75%. In fact, 9 in 10 of the hiring managers say that these individuals should undergo etiquette training. Now, I think you know what that means. You may have a hard time defining what it is, but you felt that. Because of these companies, that's a large amount of companies, and 90% of them said that these individuals need this. So what is that etiquette training, and how do you train it? That's the hard part. How do you train individuals in this? They listed the top 10 reasons why these hires weren't successful. Now I'm going to show you a chart. Don't worry so much about the chart. What I want you to notice is, of these top 10 reasons, only 2 of them are perishable skills. The rest are durable skills. So these are the top 10 reasons that their new hires weren't successful. You see, lack of relevant work experience and insufficient technical skills are 2 of those reasons. Those are perishable skills. Those are things that can be fairly easily taught. But the other 8, lack of motivation or initiative, lack of professionalism, poor organizational skills, poor communication skills, challenges with feedback, all of these things are durable skills. And those are much more difficult to train. Those are the kinds of things that hiring managers assume somebody's going to come in with. They think that these are those things that are kind of natural to people, but they really aren't anymore. So these are things we need to train people in. And 8 out of 10 of the reasons that people weren't successful is because of that. So if we can train your employees in these areas, you're going to have a lot higher success rate and a lot better bottom line for you. As a hiring manager, the people in this survey had certain beliefs about individuals in this group. So I'm assuming that most people out there who are in a position of supervision or on HR or a hiring manager have these same kinds of beliefs about this group of individuals. They're often late to start work. They don't dress professionally. They're too difficult to manage. They hand in assignments late. They don't use appropriate language. They're often late to meetings, or they can't manage the workload. If you're in that situation and this is how you feel with the individuals that you supervise, then this journey can be very helpful for you to take your employees through. So then the question is, how do durable skills fit in to this? Well, I want you to think of it like there's this divide between where these early career professionals are and where you are in your expectations. And durable skills is really the bridge that connects those two. As we teach them about durable skills, as we help them practice them and develop them, then that bridges that gap. I recently published a book about durable skills, a durable skills advantage. And as I was researching that, what I found was there are hundreds of durable skills that you can find if you just even do Google searches on that. And I struggled with, how do you teach all of them to individuals? And what I found as I looked more at it, I was able to group them into categories. And if you can just teach those categories, then you cover a lot of the other skills. And I found 4 categories of durable skills as I worked with this. And I put them into a diagram, and then I used that in the teaching process. I have a pie here, and there's 3 pieces of the pie, but high moral character is kind of the pie plate that holds everything together. And what I found with that, if you have a lot of these other skills, but you don't have high moral character, you're going to get derailed, or you're going to derail the company. In other words, you might be great with communication. You might be really good with your people skills, with encouraging others, with winning people over. But if you don't have high moral character, you're going to end up using those things to benefit yourself. You might become more of a narcissist in your approach to things. You could even be a sociopath and use these things to just benefit you, as opposed to helping your organization, and as opposed to really helping the individuals that you're working with. So high moral character is vital. So I walk the participants through that process and help them search for that for themselves and develop their high moral character. The next thing we look at is a growth mindset. This is the idea that failure isn't the end. Failure is something I can learn from. I don't have to be afraid of trying, because if I fail, I learn new things and I move forward. It's something that I can learn and I can grow into, rather than I'm stuck where I'm at. Critical thinking is something that's really lacking today. A lot of people get their information just from social media, and whatever it says must be true, and then they believe that. And we need to teach people how to question appropriately, how to think through things, and how to have kind of a healthy cynicism about information that they've heard, to then determine, is this really true? And if it is, what parts are true and what parts are exaggeration? And finally, I work on leadership with them. And you don't have to be the supervisor to be a leader. You can lead from behind. You can lead from the middle. And I help them develop their leadership skills that allow them to then move into positions of leadership if they choose to, or just prepare them to be much more efficient and effective employees where they're at. So what are the next steps? I've put together a pilot program that you can read through and look at to see how that would work for you. But I encourage you to give it a try with just one group of your employees, and we'll do a before and after, a pre and post test, so we can look at the improvement that's happened with that. And you might decide that this is something you really want to bring in across the board, have all of your new employees go through, or train potential leaders in this process. So there are a lot of different ways that you can go. But if you just try the pilot program just to see how it works for you, then we can kind of customize things and go from there. So here's my email, john@johnharoff.com. If you have any more questions, or if you want to look at this further, I'd be happy to talk with you and see what we can set up. Have a great day.